In this video, I'll give you a book review about this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and explain how you can make tiny changes and get remarkable results from them. Hi everyone, it's Matt here from Greatness Everyday, and I'm ready and excited to do another book review for you. It's been a while, and we're also in a new space. I've made this new space, and I'm going to touch on that in just a second, but I've got a bookshelf, and I have a new chair, and I've been doing a lot of reading lately. So I want to explain to you why I think this is a book that everyone should read, Atomic Habits, and if you want to get a copy of it while you're watching this video or after, go ahead and click the link down in the video description below, and you can get that through Amazon. Let's start by talking about what Atomic Habits actually are and why this title is so suitable for the book and the content that it covers. I like at the very beginning of the book, the author goes ahead and he defines what atomic is and defines what habits are. So for atomic, it says an extremely small amount of a thing, the single irreducible unit of a larger system, and it's the source of immense energy or power. So we know what atomic is now, but let's look at what a habit is. It is essentially a routine or a practice that's performed regularly. It's an automatic response to a specific situation. And just from looking at those two definitions right there, we know that these atomic habits, right? We want to be creating habits that are powerful and have a lot of energy behind them and really make a lot of change and perform some good and a lot of good in our lives. So I love the title from the get-go. The subtitle here is Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. And what I'm going to do through this book is I don't want to give you a whole summary of the entire book. That's not what I'm here for. I want to give you two takeaways that I took from this book and really encourage you to get a copy of this book on your own and read it. Okay, I really believe that this is one of the best books that I've read, Atomic Habits, and we're going to go ahead and dive into why. Two of the reasons why I think so. So let's get started with that. Number one is I found a lot of value, and even though I've made a video on this already, but I found a lot of value in the information that the author presented in this book on things called micro improvements or marginal gains. 1% gains is another thing that I've talked about in another video that I made on this channel here. But what I really found is those micro improvements, they add up, and they add up over the long term. If we want to be so focused on winning the short game, we can, but there's going to be discouragements, there's going to be things that don't go, it's not going to happen necessarily as fast as everybody would want it to. But if we focus on making those 1% improvements, and the thing about it is a lot of the times we can't recognize what those 1% improvements are. And the author goes in and details a little bit about sky cycling, which as a cyclist myself and so focused and understanding how important marginal gains and those 1% gains are over a long distance race. I love that analogy, but I think there's a lot of just truth in the analogies and the examples that he talks about in this book with 1% gains. And what I really liked specifically about this book is the author went ahead and broke it down into a mathematical equation or a graph. And for me, the graph, and a lot of people that will be reading that, the graph is what really stands out there because basically, if you were to just live your life as the habits that you have now, have the same habits in the next year or two, it'd be a flat line straight across the graph. But what happens is if you focus on improving by 1%, again, 1%, something you might not even recognize, but those 1% gains over the course of 365 days, over the course of 1 year, those gains compound. And just like money and compound interest, gains and gains and gains, what you're going to do is you're going to be approximately 38 times better at those habits and those things that you're doing if you look at making those 1% gains over the course of an entire year. And that's really big when you actually break it down and look at it rather than just staying the status quo or even worse, declining or by 1% every single year. So that was my first takeaway, just the importance of the small things that we do each and every day that can really make a huge difference over the long term. And the second one is the physical environment and how important the physical environment that is in your life is to creating good or bad habits. And I really want to focus on the good habits. And that's why for me, I posted on Instagram about this. I went ahead and I bought some things from IKEA. I bought a chair that's really comfortable, and I bought a bookshelf. The reason is I have a lot of books, and I've been in this mode and in this zone of reading, but sometimes I read in my bed and I'll fall asleep, so I won't read as much. Or sometimes I'll read while I'm in my office and in by the computer, and I just won't get stuff done as much as I would because there's distractions on the computer and such. But in my space, in my living room, I made a specific space. This is my reading chair, and this is my bookshelf full of books at the top that I've read or I want to read. And this, I know my body has this this default setting now that I've been using it for just a short time, but already I can see the improvements. When I sit down in this chair next to the bookshelf and I've got a glass of water there, I know that there aren't any distractions. I know that the purpose for the time that I'm going to spend, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whether it's an hour, the time that I'm going to spend in this area is purposeful, and it's for reading, right? Reading, I really believe, allows you to connect with the great minds of our world, and there's been a lot of benefit for me over the last year and a half since I really started reading with a purpose and reading again, I'm going to argue. So the physical environment is super important in establishing good habits and bad habits for you. And my challenge to you today is to go ahead and think about what ways does your physical environment affect you and the habits that you have, right? There's a lot to this that this book talks about. The book really goes into a lot of detail about kind of why habits can develop the way that they develop, what things we should be doing to make sure that we develop good habits, and what things we should be doing. And I really enjoyed this perspective is to not continue the bad habits we have, or what things can we do to really build up friction, which was another big takeaway from this book. But I'm going to save that for you to read as you go ahead and get that book. So if you have any questions about the topics that I just did a quick review for you in this video, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Or if you want to get your copy of this book, and again, I'd really encourage you to. This is definitely one of the best books that I have read in the most recent months, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Go ahead and click the link in our video description below, and you can get your hands on a copy there. So I hope this video helped you. If it did, please be sure to click the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Instagram for daily inspiration and encouragement to live a great life. You can also visit our website at www.greatnesseveryday.online.